Hi, y'all. Welcome or welcome back to the channel. I am so excited for this week because there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on all summer, as I feel like I've been talking about in every video. But this week really seems like a big theme of release, upgrades, changes that are positive but maybe unexpected in a lot of areas of our life. We're going to look at the chart when I go over each rising sign, but there's just a lot going on that's kind of encompassing a lot of different areas of everyone's charts right now. So the changes that we're experiencing are very vast. Very vast, encompassing a lot of different areas of our life, as I have, I think, also been talking about in recent videos, especially the one I posted about the two yachts that we have had in the sky with both Pluto and Aquarius and Mars and Virgo. So this is really the energy of big cleanup, so we can make these massive changes that are more positive for us on a solid foundation with a really new sense of self and a new identity and all of these things that we have been stepping into, changing, building about our lives. Like it's really all culminating this summer. And yeah, this week is we're really going to start to see, I think, the physical results of everything we've been doing energetically, or the intentions we've been setting, or the hopes, dreams we've had and been working towards for maybe several years at this point. So yeah, I'm excited about this week. We are also beginning pre-shadow of the Mercury retrograde that we're going to have starting on July 17th in Leo. So watch out for being overly egotistical, prideful, or giving to people who aren't giving back to you in the ways that you know you need and deserve and are worthy of. Big themes as well, I believe, will be seen with the upcoming Mercury retrograde. I mean, we're already kind of experiencing it. That's what the pre-shadow is showing us what we're going to be reevaluating during the retrograde period. And the pre-shadow, I believe, started today. If not, then it starts tomorrow. It's either today or tomorrow. I don't remember exactly. I should have researched it before I hopped on here. But I'm a manifesting generator, and I'm all over the place. I got a lot going on. So, anyways, yeah, let's get into the rising sign horoscopes. We're going to start with Aries, as we typically do. And I will share my screen to show you all what's going on. So Aries Rising, we start the week off with the moon on Mars and Virgo in your sixth house. This could be like some work drama. This could be some health drama, or maybe just really feeling kind of emotionally motivated to take action towards organizing either of those things, your routine, really what you're doing on a daily basis. Recently, someone asked me about the differences between the third house and the sixth house. And I feel like the third house is like, where do you go? Who do you talk to on a daily basis? The sixth house is like, what are you doing on a daily basis, right? So your habits, things like that, your routine, your schedule, also what you're doing to make money through your work. So that could all be a really big focus at the beginning of the week. And that might prompt you something that comes up on either Sunday or Monday. It might prompt you to release something big in your work or with your health, or a routine related to your health and well-being on Tuesday, as the moon is going to move over the south node in Virgo and opposite the north node in Pisces. This could be some really big shift in your routine that's really going to support where you're headed instead of where you have been going. Then on Wednesday, the moon is going to move into Libra in your seventh house of relationships, opposing Saturn and Neptune in your first house. This could be a really big kind of emotional wake-up call, maybe through somebody in your life coming in. That's going to shift how you've been seeing yourself, how you've been viewing yourself, what you've been doing in terms of your sense of self and identity. Someone could really emotionally support you to change that, or there could be friction in your relationships emotionally that propels you to really have a wake-up call around your identity and your sense of self in general. We're going to get into Venus approaching Uranus in your second house in a second. It's like I feel like that really is one of the major players of this week, as well as Mercury being opposite Pluto in your 5th and 11th houses, which we kind of touched on last week for your horoscope. This is big change around how you're communicating your passions, how you're sharing your ideas and your information with the world, or in your creative passions, projects, or pursuits, in alignment with the changes you're making in your community, your friendships, so showing up on social media, maybe even, and your long-term goals and visions as they're related to those creative pursuits and projects. On Thursday, later into Thursday, the moon is going to oppose Chiron in your 7th and 1st houses. So again, whatever kind of came up earlier in the week, this could be maybe a triggering emotional moment of something around your identity, your appearance, that really kind of has you reflecting on your habits and what you're doing to take care of yourself, and how you're presenting yourself to the world. There could be some really big identity and sense of self or appearance shifts for you this week, Aries, because of all of this tension that's being applied to your 1st house, really through your relationships. And then amplified, really you're going to be feeling that Mercury or moon opposing Chiron transit later on Friday or later on Thursday and into Friday. And also on Friday, Venus Day, oddly enough, we're going to have the Venus-Uranus conjunction in your 2nd house. So this could really propel some positive shifts in terms of your money, your finances. Maybe you really have been putting yourself out there in new ways on social media with your creative projects or pursuits. And it could result in some positive cash flow for you and really change your financial picture. This could also be you doing a deep dive, a clearing of what you're wearing, what's in your house, your possessions, or your habits around food even as well. That could be amplified going into the weekend as the moon goes into Scorpio, and it's going to square Mercury and Pluto in your 5th and 11th houses. But it's also going to harmonize with Cancer and the Sun in Cancer in your 4th house, and Jupiter in Cancer in your 4th house. So this could be some positive changes around your home, where you're living, how you feel supported or nurtured by your home. Maybe, again, you're clearing out things that you don't use or don't want, and it's resulting in more money and feeling better in your space. So it does feel like, while there's pressure and maybe challenges that come up around all of these things to propel you to make these changes, they are ultimately positive for you, Aries. So that is the week ahead. That's what I have for you. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Taurus Rising, we start the week off with the moon on Mars in Virgo in your 5th house of creative passions, projects, pursuits. This area rules children and romance as well, so you might be feeling really motivated in those areas, or again, with your creative passions, to really put things out there to the world in an emotional way. And then into Tuesday, you might kind of have some big release as it relates to that, maybe how you're viewing these things, how you're maybe a little self-critical of yourself when it comes to these things, and taking action towards sharing them and putting them out there to the world. With Mars in your 5th house, you're really motivated now to be taking action on your creative pursuits and passions, but there might be some self-criticism or overanalyzing that's happening, and you might have an emotional opportunity to look at that on Tuesday and release it, because it's probably not serving you, however that's showing up. Then on Wednesday, the moon moves into Libra in your 6th house, opposes Saturn, Neptune in your 12th house. This could be some really big shift around your mindset, belief systems, whatever you've really been grappling with as it relates to your mental health and your mindset, maybe subconscious belief patterns and things like that as well, since Saturn and Neptune moved into Aries at the end of May and early this month. That could be there could be some pressure applied to that emotionally on Wednesday, as the moon is going to oppose those planets in your 6th house. As we get into Thursday and later in the week, the moon is going to oppose, later on Thursday, the moon's going to oppose Chiron in your 12th house. So there could be something that really emotionally triggers you around whatever's been coming up. And depending on where your rising is in Taurus, you could have this Venus-Uranus conjunction right on your ascendant, which could really be propelling a lot of chaotic change unexpectedly in terms of your self-worth, your appearance, your values, money-related things as well. As Venus and Uranus both are about to move in your 2nd house, you might be really, cleaning house so that you can bring in things that really feel more aligned with where you're headed and this new chapter that you're embarking on and taking action towards. Then into Friday, like I said, the moon is going to oppose Chiron in your 12th house before it moves into Scorpio. When it moves into Scorpio, it will be harmonizing with Jupiter in Cancer in your third house, while also starting to square Pluto in your 10th and Mercury in your fourth. So there could be a lot of pressure for you as we head into the weekend and maybe on the 4th of July itself to really change your communication style, speak up for your needs and what you really want from the people around you, where you want to be going, who you want to be talking to on a daily basis that's going to support and nurture you and these goals that you're stepping into or shifting. And wanting to just really be disciplined with as it relates to what's going on in your home and how you're balancing that with what's happening in your career and your relationships and your sense of self that's changing. It's kind of like you're really getting a grip on how to balance all of these changes that you're experiencing and what needs the most attention and focus as a grounding practice to be able to have a kind of balance with all those things. Also on Friday, the moon, or not the moon, well, yeah, the moon moves into Scorpio in your 7th house, but also Venus moves into your 2nd house. So you might be focused on applying those changes to your actual possessions, maybe your relationship with food as well, or money in general. There is something positive shifting in your career that is supporting your finances and your resources related to everything else that's going on for you, Taurus. So that's the week ahead. Let me know how it resonates, and I will see you next week. Okay, Gemini Rising, we start the week off with the moon in your 4th house. This could be a really big, like, emotional drive to organize your home, maybe get rid of a lot of stuff and really just kind of deal with whatever maybe you have been putting off in terms of your home or living situation and organizing it and it being really like how you want it to be. It feels like the first couple days of the week are like, okay, I'm really getting this shit together. And you might have some big emotional release around that on Tuesday as the moon moves over the south node in your 4th house. You might just really release some old habits that were passed down from your parents or through childhood or whatever the case. That's maybe has been resulting in some overly critical habits or ways that you talk to yourself in your head and how that is extending to your home life as well. Then on Wednesday, we're going to have the moon in your 5th house, opposite Saturn, Neptune in your 11th house. This could be some big emotional push to put creative passions out there or to really just start putting yourself on social media in ways that maybe you haven't been, and your relationships are kind of supporting you to be able to do that. The middle of the week for you, Gemini, could really feel very creatively supported, like creatively inspired is what you could be feeling. And that might happen through the people you're around or through your relationships in general. You might get a lot of inspiration through your friends or people that you're with towards the middle of the week. And then Thursday and into Friday, the moon is going to oppose Chiron in your 11th house. So there could be some big shift through somebody in your life that brings up a wound or a trigger around how you're showing up on social media or your long-term visions and goals that you want to shift and the new beginning you're having there. There could be some big emotional release through tension or through pressure that happens and maybe again kind of sparks your creative inspiration in a way. On Friday, we're going to have the Venus-Uranus conjunction in your 12th house. So there could be some really big shift around your values and maybe at a subconscious level of like really having a big ending in terms of like what's going on in your mental space and how that's kind of rippling out into your physical reality and your life. I feel like you're getting a lot of like breakthroughs of like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to do it. And maybe you've been feeling stuck with those things for quite some time. And this is the energy of like really getting the insights, the downloads, the ideas that you need to move forward with what you've maybe been struggling to articulate or have a plan around for some time. Then on Friday, early on Friday, the moon moves into Scorpio in your 6th house of work. So you could, again, be getting that clarity and really moving forward with it as soon as you get it, or just taking action on the things and feeling, again, really inspired. I feel like is your word for the week, Gemini, which I don't really like do word of the week for people, but this is what I'm getting for you. It's very Gemini, actually, is like inspiration. I feel like a lot of things are just inspiring you to do and to share. And I mean, with Mercury in your 3rd house, Pluto opposite Pluto in your 9th house, and everything in your 11th house, it's just like you're feeling the creative push. Especially as we get into the weekend, the moon will be harmonizing with all the things that are in Cancer in your 2nd house, bringing in maybe money in new ways that are related to this creative inspiration. And with Venus moving into your 1st house, I feel like that's going to be really good for you to be putting yourself out there and this again renewal of energy. It's like a whole brand a whole brand new, fresh start and beginning. That's the week ahead for Gemini. It feels like a big renewal of your energy. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Cancer Rising. We start the week off with the moon in Virgo on Mars in your third house. There could be something that came up Sunday into Monday that maybe was like a little bit emotionally aggressive. Maybe you said something in a way you didn't really mean, or were overly critical of somebody, or maybe even yourself, maybe around money or things like that. But I do feel like whatever it is, it's showing you what needs to change about your communication style, or maybe like, yeah, just communicating things before they build up to be too much, and then they come out in a way that you don't really love. And that could prompt some breakthrough and insight of a release related to that on Tuesday as the moon moves over the south node in your third house and opposite the north node in your ninth house. This is like some big perspective of life shift through a subtle kind of communication change that you're realizing it needs to happen. On Wednesday, the moon moves into Libra in your fourth house, opposite Saturn, Neptune in your 10th house. So this could be really about you making changes in your home that you need to make, or you might be just hermiting these couple days and really feeling more like spending time in your home, or organizing things in your home in a way, or balancing like your home and work life in ways that are going to support you moving forward, and maybe just kind of taking things off your plate so you can spend more time at home, or have a different I don't know, something about your home. I feel like it's very vague, but that's really the emotional focus. It could be related to you. I mean, maybe you're cleaning out your closet so you can really only have items that you love to wear and you feel good in, that really support this expansion of you and your sense of self and appearance. That has been a focus since Jupiter moved into Cancer and will be for the next year. Then Thursday into Friday, we have the moon in Libra opposite Chiron in your 10th house. This could be some trigger that comes through, if you live with somebody or your home or your family, there could be something that really triggers you there, that maybe it also heals you in terms of your career and your public image or reputation, and the changes and new beginnings you've been making there. We're also getting really close at this point in time to the Venus-Uranus conjunction in Taurus in your 11th house. So there could be some big shifts around your community, your friend groups, your social media presence, or just your long-term visions and goals in general, and how that's kind of bleeding into all of these other maybe issues or things you've been really wanting to just have taken care of. That could be amplified on Friday as the moon moves into Scorpio in your 5th house and starts to challenge Pluto in your 8th, Mercury in your 2nd, as it harmonizes with Jupiter and the sun in your 1st. I mean, this feels like a very expansive weekend for you. It's almost like everything that came up, you've really handled it gracefully, learned what you need to learn from it, taken action on it, and then it feels like these big kind of breakthroughs and shifts that happen that are maybe challenging because they're uncomfortable, but they are positive for you moving forward, and that could result in some creative inspiration to put things out there into the world that maybe you've been working on behind the scenes for quite some time. So that is the week ahead for you, Cancer. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Leo Rising. We start the week off with the moon on Mars in your 2nd house. This could be really triggering some beliefs around money, possessions in general, and just kind of really having you get emotionally clear on what you're doing to make money and organizing it in ways that feel good to you. I mean, with the South Node in your 2nd house, it's like what in your mental space around money, possessions, resources really needs to like be cleared out and let go of. That could be amplified on Tuesday as the moon moves over the South Node in your 2nd house. It's kind of like, okay, what are you doing in your, like, how do I say this? What mindset do you have that's contributing to your financial picture? And is it the one you want to have? Because as we know, your mental space and your belief systems really create your reality. So how is that playing into your actual money? There might be some positive shifts around that too in your career this week as Venus is starting to join Uranus in your 10th house. There could be some positive shifts around career, public image related to money, maybe a promotion, or just really realizing you need to ask for more or something like that. And I mean, with Mercury in your first house, you're feeling really expressive. So that might be the shift that you get clarity around and need to emotionally kind of release something by communicating it. Does that make sense? And then on Wednesday, the moon moves into your third house. It's going to harmonize with Pluto in your seventh. There could be some positive shift around relationships emotionally and communicating. It could be some positive communication that happens that really shifts something within a dynamic that you've been nurturing. But also, it could kind of challenge any, again, limiting beliefs, any beliefs, any mental patterns or things that are going on in your subconscious that maybe you weren't aware of were kind of there in your programming, and this conversation you have with this person might bring that to light, so you can really like shift whatever is kind of running your life underneath the surface. I mean, this is your 12th house, so it's kind of mystical. It's kind of not super clear not clear to you what is going on, but with Jupiter and Cancer in your 12th house and the sun there and the Mercury, the moon is going to square it. It could be like this illumination of what was unclear to you before and what maybe needs to shift in your mindset, your communication patterns, your belief systems, especially with everything that's in your ninth house now. It's really you're stepping into and being disciplined with viewing life in a different way, really stepping into a new perspective. That could be amplified Thursday into Friday as the moon will be opposite Chiron in your third and ninth houses. So this could trigger a wound around maybe subconscious beliefs, like I said, or things that really were affecting your how you're viewing life and maybe contributing to things that you don't really want to experience in your reality. Then on Friday, we have the Venus-Uranus conjunction in your 10th house. This could be some big positive shift around work, some breakthrough around work or your public image, reputation, anything like that. With the moon moving into your 4th house into Scorpio, there could be this big emotional focus too on your home, your living situation, maybe resources tied into that, all that kind of stuff. As it could be some big relationship change that prompts you to really look at these things you were comfortable with and didn't realize you wanted to change, and now you're like all of a sudden everything is kind of shifting in a way you didn't expect, and maybe at a speed and a pace you didn't expect, as the moon will be challenging Pluto in your 7th house and Mercury in your 1st house as it harmonizes with Jupiter and the sun in Cancer in your 12th house. So again, it feels like everything that's been kind of culminating this whole week, you get relief around, you get clarity around, you get understanding around on how to move forward and make the changes that you want to make in all of these things that are showing up for you. Then Friday into Saturday, I think later in the day on Friday, actually, Venus moves into your 11th house. This could really prompt you to be super social and really be spending a lot of time like out in the world, out with people, maybe with a new person or just with your significant other, however that applies. It does feel like you're going to start to be a lot more social with Venus and both Uranus moving into your 11th house in the month of July. So that's the week ahead for you, Leo. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Virgo Rising. We start the week off with the moon on Mars in your 1st house. You could be feeling a lot more emotionally sensitive at the beginning of the week. There maybe could be some like emotional aggression either later on Sunday or early into Monday that you have to kind of deal with. That maybe prompts for a big release in terms of an identity as we move into Tuesday and the moon moves over the south node in your 1st house. It's like this big release of some identity maybe that wasn't serving you, that you've been holding on to, or appearance or something related to you, right? It's like this big emotional release as it relates to you that extends to every other area of your life. And that could be some positive shift too that brings in unexpected money for you, as it will be harmonizing with Venus and Uranus and Taurus at the same time. Going into Wednesday, the moon will be moving into your 2nd house in Libra, opposite Saturn and Neptune in your 8th house. This kind of feels like an emotional reality check around money, how those things are playing into your relationships and vice versa, and really shifting and maybe clearing up any residual limiting beliefs around resources, money, all that kind of stuff, and feeling supported by money, and maybe even relationships in general. There could be some trigger that happens around that Thursday, as the moon will be opposite Chiron in your 2nd and 8th houses. This could really maybe trigger a final release of any limiting beliefs that have still been there around poverty mindset from, your generational line, or just from experiences you've had growing up with money, things like that. It could be some big, like I said, big release through some trigger or wound that is brought up for you to realize, like, oh, this is still playing out in this way. Friday, Venus moves into your 10th house. I mean, I think this is so good for your work, for your career, and maybe being a lot more busy with all of those things, especially as Uranus is about to move there too and join it. Also on Friday, I mean, this weekend it's a huge weekend. Moon moves into your 3rd house into Scorpio, challenges Pluto in your 6th house and Mercury in your 12th house. So there could be some I don't know, just not easy energy that comes up on Friday or into the weekend around this. And you might be realizing there's some communication things that need to change, some mindset things that need to change, maybe through a supportive friend or community. You're realizing that there needs to be this shift in how you're expressing yourself, and maybe even too, like what you're doing, who you're talking to, where you're going on a daily basis. This might affect your kind of daily life in a positive way. It's like, okay, I really can't ignore the need to make these changes anymore. And you're getting clarity and reflecting on what's going to expand me, what's going to support me, and that expansion from a grounded place instead of like a scattered place. You might even be getting like really, really narrowing down your schedule. And getting really clear on, okay, from this hour to this hour, or this day, I'm gonna set aside to do this, or whatever it is. Like getting really organized with your routines is what this weekend feels like as well. Because I just think things are going to be so busy for you. You don't have a choice, or you're going to drive yourself crazy. So that's what we had for you, Virgo. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Libra, we start the week off with the moon in your 12th house. There could be some big release in terms of your mindset, your mental health. Maybe that was really you were unaware of. It was like a subconscious thing that had been affecting you, and you get clarity around it, and you realize, I can't hold on to this any longer. This has to shift. This has to be let go of. I really have to transmute whatever this is. Especially Monday into Tuesday, as that's really when the moon will be moving over the south node in your 12th house. Tuesday, the moon in your 12th house will be harmonizing with Venus and Uranus. So there could be some positive shift around that as it relates to money, as it relates to your resources, your investments, where the money is coming from and what you're doing with it. I think you're going to get a lot of clarity around, and there could be some big influx of money that comes in related to you just shifting beliefs, related to you just really kind of stepping into a new mindset around money in general. Then on Wednesday, the moon is going to move into your 1st house, into Libra. And it's going to oppose Saturn and Neptune in your 7th house at first. So that could be some emotional tension around you and your relationships. There could be some kind of delusion or delusional people that you're kind of battling with. And you might get emotional clarity and feel more emotionally empowered in terms of like how you're handling that and how you're dealing with that. Might even be showing up in your dating life as well, your romantic life, or affecting your creative pursuits and passions, and how you're creatively expressing yourself in alignment with your long-term goals and visions, and especially as it relates to like how you're sharing yourself, your ideas, your information on social media too. There could be some related to that big trigger on Thursday through somebody else in your life that maybe affects you emotionally, as the moon will be opposite Chiron in your 7th house. And it will be challenging before that, like Wednesday into Thursday, it looks like it will be challenging Jupiter and the sun in your 10th house too. So there could be some maybe emotional tension or friction challenges around yourself and your public image, maybe around your appearance, even like realizing, oh, I really like feel my best, show up my best, things perform their best when I put a positive effort and attention into my appearance. But there could also be something triggering that happens through a relationship, somebody in your life. And then in Thursday into Friday, we have Venus conjunct Uranus in your 8th house. So this could be some positive shift around your money, your resources. Like I said, there could be some big influx this week of money coming in that you didn't expect, because you've really stepped into a new version of your self-worth and are really living your values and really standing firm in those. Then on Friday, Venus moves into your ninth house. The moon moves into your second house. Again, it's really kind of all about money for you this week, Libra. Like you're really focused on like need to get more money. Like how can I afford the things that I want? What needs to shift? What needs to change? Especially as we get into the weekend. And I mean, like the changes are supported as we have this Venus and Uranus conjunction for a little bit. The changes you're making to your finances are really supported at this time. You might get breakthroughs around that. There might be some challenges Friday around maybe dating or creative pursuits and passions, and how you're expressing yourself on social media. There could be something, again, that kind of feels a little bit aggressive that challenges you to just really stay firm in the mindsets that you are building and have been shifting about money and your relationships and really like everything. I mean, this is a big rehaul of everything related to you, Libra, with Venus on Uranus. It's your whole kind of life is reorganizing itself. So that's the week ahead for you, Libra. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Scorpio Rising. We start the week off with the moon in your 11th house. There could be some, maybe Saturday or Sunday into Monday, some emotionally aggressive conversation that you have or interaction you have with somebody when you're out and about in the world, or a friend, maybe prompting for you to release a friendship or a community, or just really get clear on how you're showing up within your community or organizing your long-term visions and goals, and maybe even showing up on social media in ways that feel aligned for you. Feel again some big emotional release Monday into Tuesday around all of those things, to help you step into the new chapter that you've been really building. Tuesday as well, the moon is going to harmonize with Venus and Uranus in your seventh house. So there could be some big positive emotional shift around a relationship or other people in your life that maybe brings in the money you need to do what you want to do or make these changes that you've been really sitting with, all that kind of stuff. Tuesday into Wednesday, the moon moves into Libra in your 12th house and opposes Saturn and Neptune in your 6th house. So this could be a big wake-up call emotionally around your subconscious, how that's playing into your work and your career. This could be kind of like a mini spiritual awakening, and how you're really disciplined as well with your spiritual practices and your routine and what you're doing to take care of yourself, as well as these new ventures that have been, God, there's just so much change happening for you. And it's like, it's almost like, how do I organize it all? How do I structure it all? But I do think you're getting that clarity as the week progresses, especially midday on Wednesday, as the moon is going to challenge the sun in Cancer in your ninth house. This could be some big shift around your perception of life and how you're viewing things related to like what's going on in your mental space. Then on Thursday, there could be some triggering thing that happens related to what came up earlier in the week, as the moon will be opposite Chiron in your sixth house. So this could maybe bring up triggers or wounds around your work and what you're doing and how you're sharing your spiritual gifts. But again, it all kind of comes down to your mindset, and how you're viewing what you're doing and how you're sharing it. But I mean, this is the time. This is the time to really be expressing yourself and putting your ideas, your information, your passions out there. Mercury's in your 10th house. Like this is really, really the time period, despite what's going on elsewhere in your life. Maybe it is an actual outlet for you to have as well. Friday, the moon moves into Scorpio in your first house. So you might be feeling this emotional renewal. You might also be feeling a little bit more sensitive, because of all the changes that have happened earlier in the week, and they might be culminating over the weekend. As when the moon moves into Scorpio, it will be squaring Pluto in your fourth house. It will be squaring Mercury in your 10th house, but it also will be harmonizing with Jupiter and the sun in Cancer in your ninth house. So this is a big support around some perspective of life shift, and maybe feeling emotionally kind of challenged with your home or your living situation and needing to make necessary changes there, because they're going to support you and everything you're doing moving forward. Also on Friday, Venus moves into your 8th house. So that could be good for, if you have a business, that could be good for money coming in through that business kind of suddenly, unexpectedly. So that's the week ahead for you, Scorpio. Let me know how it resonates, and I will see you next week. Okay, Sagittarius Rising, we start the week off with the moon moving over the south node in your 10th house. This could be some big emotional release around something you've been doing in your career, or maybe an approach to your career as well as your public image as well. Maybe you're kind of shifting up things altogether, and what you want to be known for, how you want people to see you, what you want people to know you for. Really all things related to your public image and reputation. It feels like there's some big release culminating there. Maybe later in the day on Monday. Then as we get into Tuesday, yeah, big positive shift around your work and how you're making money. As we get into Tuesday, the moon moves into Libra in your 11th house. It opposes Saturn and Neptune in your 5th house. So this could be some emotional tension around your community, around your network, your long-term goals, vision, social media presence, and being disciplined with putting your creative passions and pursuits, maybe intuitive gifts out there into the world as it relates to that as well. Then later on Tuesday and into Wednesday, the moon is going to challenge Jupiter in Cancer and the sun in Cancer in your 8th house. So this could be some, all these things could be really related to money, maybe your belief systems around money and what you're doing with the money you're receiving. Maybe you're learning like, oh, I need to really just use it to nurture me as a resource to take care of myself, instead of feeling like I have to hold on to all of it. There could be some big perspective shifts as well that are happening related to all of that stuff. As we get into Thursday, the moon is going to oppose Chiron in your 5th house. This could be some emotional wound that comes up, and maybe provoke something you didn't know was there around your creative gifts or passions. Maybe through somebody on social media, like, you get a really negative comment that sits with you and you really have to look at, why did that affect me so much? What wound or trigger did that bring up that I need to just really address and nurture in order to not have it continue and stay with me and keep repeating. Then as we get into Friday, a lot of shifts happening on Friday. Venus moves into Gemini. Venus, before it moves into Gemini, it will be on Uranus. So there could be these big positive shifts or innovations, breakthroughs around your work and how you're making money, what you're doing to take care of yourself as well. Not work yourself to death just to survive, but to thrive. Also, there's so much going on Friday. The moon is going to harmonize with Jupiter and the sun and Cancer in your 8th house. The moon is also going to challenge Pluto in your 3rd and Mercury in your 9th. So this could be some big breakthrough subconsciously around those belief systems and patterns that have been playing out, that you're really facing and really having to look at and deal with and shift and make changes around. Like, this is a lot of like deep subconscious shadow kind of work for you to really look at and deal with, so that it doesn't keep affecting your life in ways that are just not helpful. So that's the week ahead for you, Sagittarius. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Capricorn Rising. We started the week off with the moon in Virgo in your 9th house on the South Node. This can be some big release around maybe something internationally related. Could also be a big release emotionally around a philosophy of life, or how you're viewing life. A big perspective shift, it feels like. Then into Tuesday, the moon moves into Libra. Before it moves into Libra, it's going to harmonize with Venus and Uranus in your 5th house. So this could be some big creative inspiration around whatever shifted, whatever you released on Monday. And then as the moon moves into Libra in your 10th house, I think you're going to be really focused on your career, putting yourself out there, but it could come at odds with your home life in some way. Maybe just feeling like, oh, I just really have to like be the authority figure in my home right now, and it's really difficult to face these things and also like put energy into my career because of what's going on in your home. It feels like these two things are at odds with one another, but I do think you're going to find a balance. I do think that might come through a supportive relationship, or the support of somebody in your life, or maybe even money that's going to help you in some way to deal with these issues that have been plaguing you in your home and affecting your work and career. Then as we get into Wednesday, there could be some challenge or conflict actually between somebody in your life and your career, whether it's somebody just really kind of dragging your energy down and affecting showing up in your career in the ways that you want to, or really making you realize like what is needed for you in terms of the people you have in your life to feel supported and to feel nurtured by those people, as well as be able to that extend to other areas of your life, especially your career. Could be some trigger that comes up as well through your home, or your career emotionally, but I do feel like this is going to be like something's triggered, or there's a wound that's brought up in your home or your family life that maybe is creative inspiration that you create content around or you share in your career, and you help other people with what you're dealing with in your own home life um, on Thursday. And then as we get into Friday, I mean, Venus is on Uranus now, so there could be some big breakthroughs, shifts around money and creative projects or pursuits. Maybe you're launching something new that you've been really sitting with for some time, and the breakthrough happens, the clarity happens, and you share it, and it does really well. Brings in a positive financial change. But there could be also some frictions or just maybe delays around that as we get into Friday, and the moon challenges Pluto in your second house and Mercury in your eighth. But it could also prompt you to really look at your belief systems around all of those things, and what's going on at the mental level, like to really reframe and look at differently there. Also, as the moon is going to challenge those planets, it is also going to harmonize with Jupiter and the sun in Cancer in your seventh house. So again, there could be some really supportive people coming in for you at this time, Capricorn, that really just help you work through these issues in ways that are really beneficial for you, short term and long term. Also on Friday, Venus moves into your sixth house. So again, there's going to be these positive changes and focus on work and what you're doing to make money, maybe through the creative passions that you've been wanting to pursue for some time. Yeah, and that's really the week ahead for you, Capricorn. So let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Aquarius Rising. We start the week off with the moon on the south node in Virgo in your eighth house. There could be some big emotional shift around resources, money in some way, your assets, things like that, or just your belief systems around money as well, and maybe just starting to really view it all differently. You're moving in some big new direction with money and how you're making it, your resources in general, maybe even your relationship with food and health as well, especially with the sun and Jupiter in your sixth house now. You're really focused on like, okay, how do I need to take care of myself in the ways that are really going to lead me to feel support and nurtured, and that also benefit everything else in my life. On Tuesday, before the moon moves into Libra, it will harmonize with Uranus and Venus in your fourth house. So there could be some positive shifts for you around your home, where you're living, family members, or something that maybe supports this change with money as well. Then later on Tuesday, the moon moves into Libra in your ninth house, opposite Saturn, Neptune in your third house, bringing up some really big shifts emotionally around your communication style, your perspective of life, how you're viewing things, where you're going, who you're talking to on a daily basis. Like there's a lot of need for you to really be disciplined with your routine and your time and your energy and see it as the value that it is. This could prompt some positive shift in terms of your identity, your sense of self too, really stepping into a new identity, a new appearance. It really feels like a rebirth is being supported this week for you, Aquarius. Then on Wednesday, the moon is going to challenge the sun and Cancer in your sixth house. So again, this could prompt some big philosophy of life change, perspective shift, maybe related to somebody in your life, or just really viewing life differently. This might be like a mini spiritual awakening in a way of like, oh, I just needed to see things like this, and then everything kind of is going to positively shift for me once I do, and I really like expect life to work for me in the ways that I need it to. That could be further supported as we get into Thursday, and the moon is opposite Chiron in your third house. There could be some wound or trigger that comes through randomly, like through a stranger or an interaction when you're driving. Like it feels like this big tension emotionally to heal some kind of trigger in your communication styles or your belief systems. And maybe even related to family, your childhood, that kind of stuff, as Venus will also be joining Uranus in your fourth house. So there could be some big shift, sudden breakthrough, insight around your worthiness, money, your values that maybe were passed down to family that maybe you don't resonate with and you want to change all of a sudden. Then into Friday. Friday's a big day. Wild that it's the 4th of July. Okay. Venus moves into your fifth house, so you could be feeling a lot more creatively inspired through whatever came up that you worked through. Also, the moon will be moving into Scorpio in your 10th house. It will first challenge Pluto in your first house. So there could be some emotional thing at work or within your career that prompts for a shift in your identity. Again, big shifts in your identity this week. You're really pressured into that. through these transits. Then the moon is going to harmonize with Jupiter in your 6th house. So there could be some through the working through of whatever came up that was maybe challenging. There is a positive shift of expansion. Then the moon is going to challenge Mercury in your 7th house. So again, there could be, because of that, some emotionally challenging conversation that you have to have with somebody related to work or your career. And then the moon is going to harmonize with the sun in your 6th house. So that could, again, prompt some positive shift emotionally around all of that stuff. So challenge, trigger, positive expansion, another challenge, trigger through communication, and then another positive expansion in these areas of your life. And that's the week ahead for you, Aquarius. So let me know how that resonates, and I will see you next week. Pisces Rising, last but never least, is what I meant to say. We start the week off on Monday with the moon on Mars in your 7th house. So there could be some emotionally aggressive thing that happens through somebody in your life Sunday into Monday that maybe really prompts you to look at this relationship or this person differently, or just your approach to relationships, or the people that you're calling in to support you or lack thereof. And then that could be further supported into Tuesday as the moon moves over the south node in your 7th house. Maybe really you're having to face some big emotional release in a relationship. As Venus gets pretty close to Uranus and your 3rd house, I think you're going to also be making shifts around your communication styles, and how, you're really shifting a lot of your values, your self-worth, how you're viewing yourself. You're stepping into this new identity, this new sense of self. And it's kind of like with that comes a whole new style of communicating your needs, communicating your ideas, your thoughts, all these kinds of things. So you're really stepping into a new you. And it's kind of like rearranging, recalibrating everything else in your life. Wednesday, the moon moves into Libra in your 8th house and opposite Saturn, Neptune in your 2nd house. This could be some emotional wake-up call around money, resources, what you're doing with the money that's coming in, really needing to be a little bit more disciplined with how you're making money, what you're doing with that money, where you're putting that money, so that it really does benefit you in the long term, kind of thing. Also, on Wednesday, the moon will be challenging Jupiter and the sun in Cancer in your 5th house. So there could be some maybe big wake-up call around your creative passions, pursuits, gifts, that what you're sharing with the world as it relates to that, to create these resources for yourself. There could be some big subconscious belief system overhaul related to that as well. As we get into Thursday and into Friday, the moon is going to challenge Chiron in your 2nd house again. This is maybe bringing up wounds or triggers around money through your belief systems, and maybe what was deep in your subconscious or your psyche passed down through childhood or even generational stuff that you didn't realize was affecting your money. So you're really going to be dealing with that this week, and kind of doing this whole rehaul of your belief systems and how you're viewing the way that you get to be supported through resources, and more specifically through money. Then into Thursday into Friday, we have that Venus-Uranus conjunction in your 3rd house. Like I said, there could be this big shift around your belief systems, your communication styles. Friday and into Saturday, really this whole weekend, the moon is going to be moving through your 9th house in Scorpio. It's going to be challenging Mercury in your 6th house, Pluto in your 12th house. It's going to be harmonizing with Jupiter and the sun in your 5th house. So this could be challenges and conflicts, but in your work, your mental space, but that really prompt for positive inspiration or changes in your creativity and how you're sharing your creative passions, pursuits, projects, maybe spiritual gifts as well with the world around you. And with Venus moving into your 4th house in Gemini this weekend as well, it does feel like there's a positive shift around your home, your family life in some way. Again, maybe those belief systems that we're kind of clinging on for dear life from childhood that don't serve you anymore. And you're really they're coming up for you to look at, to change. So that you create new ones and you have a solid foundation on which to stand for your goals and your dream life moving forward. So that's the week ahead for you, Pisces. Let me know how that resonates, and I will see you next week. After doing all these, y'all, this week is going to be very interesting. So let me see what y'all said in the comments. Tori says, I don't care what it is that I'm doing, I'll never miss these lives. Oh, thank you, Tori. I love and appreciate you so much. Starlova says, hello, hello. Vig says, just saw your TikToks, new subscribers. Yay, welcome. Hi, Emma. Yeah, I do these every week here, usually around this time, in the evening or like an hour before now because we've been on here for an hour. But yeah, if you missed your rising, it will be posted in the replay. Give me a second to put up the timestamps, but they will be posted. And yeah, look forward to these every week. So I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Love you.